This has gotten somehow even crazier, because Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a guy who has been turned into essentially a human foursquare ball, and has become like the trophy, the ball in some game of politics here by MAGA, is once again being talked about being deported to a new location this time. Apparently they're not thinking about sending him to El Salvador. They're thinking of sending him to, I shit you not, Uganda. Trump wants to send Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda. We're not even talking about, hey, that's the wrong South American country. Now we're talking about, like, having to cross thousands of miles of ocean to get back to your, like, supposed actual home country, to where they're deporting people to. It's like, it truly is like, listen, as long as they're not in America, we don't care where they go, just get them out. That's what these people voted for. Good God, this is evil. When I read this headline, I thought it had to be a meme. U.S. seeks to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda after he refused plea offer in his smuggling case. Immigration officials said they intend to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda after he declined an offer to be sent to Costa Rica in exchange for remaining in jail and pleading guilty to human smuggling charges, his defense attorneys told a court Saturday. The Costa Rica offer came late Thursday and included a requirement that he remain in jail for the time being and then serve whatever sentence he would receive for pleading guilty, according to a brief filed in Tennessee, where the criminal case was brought. After Abrego Garcia left jail on Friday, Immigration and Customs Enforcement notified his attorneys that he would be deported to Uganda and should report to immigration authorities on Monday. So is Trump basically just so desperate to get immigrants out of America that he's going to other countries, primarily third world countries that are desperate to be on America's good side, telling them, hey, take these guys and hold them in your prisons and pay for them to be held there. And just they're saying yes because they want America to owe them a favor, basically. They don't want to piss off Trump. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. Like, Trump is just sending them anywhere so he can say, look how many people are no longer in America. Look how many people have been deported. Later on Friday, the government informed Mr. Abrego that he has until the first Monday morning, precisely when he must report to ICE's Baltimore field office to accept a plea in exchange for deportation to Costa Rica, or else that offer will be off the table forever, his defense attorneys wrote. They declined to say whether he is still considering the offer. Filed along with the brief was a letter from the Costa Rican government stating that Abrego Garcia would be welcomed to that country as a legal immigrant and wouldn't face the possibility of detention. Wait, really? They received a letter from the Costa Rican government saying that he would be welcomed into the country as a legal immigrant and wouldn't face the possibility of detention. Why would he not take that deal then? Hell yeah. Like, at that point, honestly, fuck it. You know, free trip to Costa Rica, get to live there. Justice Department spokesperson Chad Gilmartin responded to the brief with a statement saying a federal grand jury has charged Abrego Garcia with serious federal crimes. This is true, he is a criminal, but, you know, this whole game of deportation foursquare is literally just being done for the sake of political gain, not for justice. Underscoring the clear danger this defendant presents to the community. This defendant can plead guilty and accept responsibility or stand trial before a jury. Either way, we will hold Abrego Garcia accountable and protect the American people. Abrego Garcia's case became a flashpoint in President Donald Trump's immigration agenda after he was mistakenly deported to El Salvador in March. Despite a judge's earlier determination that he faced a well-founded fear of violence there. Facing a court order, the Trump administration brought him back to the U.S. in June, only to detain him on human smuggling charges. He pleaded not guilty and asked the judge to dismiss the case, claiming that it is an attempt to punish him for challenging his deportation to El Salvador. The Saturday filing came as a supplement to that motion to dismiss, stating that the threat to deport him to Uganda is more proof that the prosecution is vindictive. Yeah, it's pretty clearly vindictive. He wants to get all the brown people out of America. The smuggling charges stem from a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee for speeding. There were 9 passengers in the car, and officers discussed among themselves their suspicions of smuggling. However, Abrego Garcia was allowed to continue driving with only a warning. Abrego Garcia has an American wife and children and has lived in Maryland for years, although he was deemed eligible for pre-trial release last month, he remained in jail at the request of his attorneys, who feared the Republican administration could try to immediately deport him again if he were freed. A recent ruling in a separate case in Maryland required ICE to provide 72 hours notice before initiating deportation proceedings. Time to allow a prospective deportee to mount a defense. An email from ICE sent to attorneys at 4:01 p.m. on Friday refers to that decision. Please let this email serve as a notice that DHS may remove your client, Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, to Uganda no earlier than 72 hours from now, absent weekend. It states, Uganda recently agreed to take deportees from the U.S., provided that they do not have criminal records and are not unaccompanied minors. Federal officials have argued that Abrego Garcia can be deported because he came to the U.S. illegally and because a U.S. immigration judge deemed him eligible for expulsion in 2019, just not to his native El Salvador. Simon Sandoval Mosenberg, Abrego Garcia's lead attorney in the Maryland lawsuit against the Trump administration, said in a statement Sunday that the government is trying to use the immigration system to punish his client by attempting to send him halfway across the world to a country with documented human rights abuses and where he does not even speak the language. It sounds like we're trying to send him to a black site. That's already what we were trying to do, but it seemed like if he went to Costa Rica, he'd be free, right? Based on what the Costa Rican government or officials are saying, he would face no possibility of jail time, and he'd be free if he went there. And to be fair, that's probably not what he should get. Apparently, he is an actual criminal. He's got an extensive criminal record, so he definitely shouldn't just be walking free. But also, by the sounds of it, like, whatever we're doing with sending immigrants that might originate from South America to Uganda, that sounds like some black site shit, okay? That is thousands of miles of ocean between Africa and South America and Central America, okay? Like, that shit is kind of fucking crazy. Further, Mexico's even further. So, this story is kind of complicated. My nose will not stop itching today. I think my allergies are, like, just popping up now. I think I'm entering my allergy season, unfortunately. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but blowing my nose has not really helped me much. All I've got is a lot of tickle. Regardless, though, this situation's hard to talk about because this guy is a criminal. He definitely did do a lot of bad stuff. Justice should be had. He might very well be still an active danger to society, and most people believe that. I don't even think most Democrats are going to be convinced this guy is like an angel, right? The problem is that doesn't mean he should lose his human rights. But Americans, all they see is someone who did a crime and comes from somewhere else. And because of that, they shouldn't be here. No, he isn't. What the fuck did he do? Well, he's got charges for human trafficking and smuggling. And it seems like he did it based on like the court stuff, but for all we know, he could be innocent. He was found guilty, wasn't he, by the same judge who ruled he couldn't be deported? It doesn't seem like the judge was like against him, but I guess I could be wrong. This really does just seem like a case where, regardless of whether or not he's guilty, most Americans see him as a criminal, dangerous in some way, whether like it be smuggling or driving infractions or just getting a ticket. They think if you do crime and you're from somewhere else, you shouldn't be here. Because being here is a privilege that you have to have a spotless record in order to get. That's at least what they say. The reality is, the administration in power right now doesn't like brown people. They don't. They want any excuse to get every brown person out of the country. They've said it themselves. Let me quote them. It's a false charge. He wasn't smuggling or trafficking. Okay, I guess it's a false charge. Most Americans voted just to get all the brown people out. And the Republicans have said, Trump's administration during the campaign said this themselves. I'm going to quote them verbatim here. We will start with the criminals and we will move on from there. Well, how else can that be interpreted other than they're going to frame it as we're going after criminals, that's it, and then eventually, once all the criminals are dealt with, they're going to start going after every other brown person. There's no other interpretation to that. We start with the criminals, and we get to everyone else after that. What other interpretation am I meant to have? I want to look into this claim that Kilmar Abrego Garcia guilty? Is he actually innocent? I guess he is, yeah. Abrego Garcia's attorneys say the government is trying to coerce him to accept a guilty plea or face deportation to Uganda. To be fair, this is really common. So this shouldn't have surprised me. This shouldn't have caught me off guard like that. Because federal charges, almost always, you end up going with the plea deal, regardless of how off base those charges are. Because if you don't, and you fail, then you're facing, like, decades in prison, or deportation, and then being held for decades in a prison in a black site overseas, that kind of thing. So this honestly shouldn't have surprised me.
Now, lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia say ICE is ordering him to report to their office in Baltimore tomorrow. He was wrongly deported to El Salvador in March, then brought back to face human smuggling charges in the U.S. Now, Abrego Garcia's lawyers say the government is trying to force him to plead guilty and be deported to Costa Rica or face deportation to Uganda. ABC's Rena Roy is here with me now. Rena, thanks for joining me. So what more are we hearing from Abrego Garcia's attorneys?
Right. Well, Ike, they're saying that the DOJ, DHS, and ICE are using their collective powers to force Abrego Garcia to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety or rendition to Uganda, where they say his safety and liberty would be under threat. Remember, he was released from criminal custody and sent back to Maryland on Friday after, as you mentioned, he was wrongly deported to El Salvador in March. And his attorneys say that the government is now responding to his release with outrage, allegedly giving him a deadline of tomorrow morning to respond to their offer, Ike.
Now, Senator Chris Van Hollen, he says he met with our...
So literally, they're just desperately trying to get him, like, scare him using big, scary deportation and federal charges to get him to take a guilty plea so that, I guess, the right-wing media can try and claim, oh, see, he pled guilty. I didn't even know that. I'm gonna be honest, this goes to show how effective the right-wing's media machine is. Like, I just kind of assumed that, like, Kilmar Abrego Garcia had some kind of real criminal record, and the idea that he was part of, some organized criminal agency, that was the baloney part of it, and that they were trying to use that to justify his deportation. The reality is, this guy's just a dude. It looks like he's not even an actual criminal. Like, they might have just, like, grabbed a dude off the street and then turned him into the face of their deportation campaign. I genuinely did not know that. It gets so much worse than I even assumed. That's wild. It started as incompetence, but they've turned what was first an incompetent mistake into a right-wing narrative, into a powerful talking point about why their deporting is so important.
Abrego Garcia yesterday. He's the Maryland Democrat who met with them in El Salvador. So what more do we know in terms of what he had to say?
Right. So Senator Van Hollen is saying that this is the first time that they've spoken since that meeting in El Salvador. He says he...
That is CCOT, by the way. That is how they line up the prisoners at CCOT, or SACOT, many different ways people pronounce it. It's basically a giga-hell super prison in El Salvador that no one's allowed to leave. Although, some have. But they talk it up like, you will only leave this place in a body bag. No one who goes in ever leaves. It's a concentration camp, like, openly. Like, imagine, not even the Nazis said, this is Auschwitz. Anyone who comes here leaves as ash. Like, no Nazis said this. Like, publicly. They burned as much evidence as they could when the Soviets arrived. Yet America publicly, proudly, openly, in the media, bragging about how the people going to their mega prison in El Salvador won't leave until they die. That's crazy. They said come to the showers before work. Yeah, that's like less euphemism here than there was there.
He promised Abrego Garcia and his wife that he will continue fighting for justice and due process, because he says if his rights are denied, the rights of everyone else are put at risk. And he did not mince words when it comes to the Trump administration, saying that Trump's, quote, cronies continue to lie about the facts in his case, saying that they are engaging in a malicious abuse of power as they threaten to deport him to Uganda.
And finally, how's the Department of Justice responding?
Yeah, so they released a statement saying essentially that a federal grand jury has charged Abrego Garcia with serious federal crimes, including human trafficking and smuggling offenses, underscoring the clear danger this defendant presents to the community. This defendant can plead guilty and accept responsibility or stand trial before a jury. Either way, we will hold Abrego Garcia accountable and protect the American people. But Abrego Garcia, he denies any wrongdoing, so this battle is...
Yeah, so this really does just sound like a whole crock of shit they're throwing at this guy to make him into a martyr. Or not a martyr, into a message. Make an example out of him. Pure evil. Indeed, pure evil. Almost as evil as my allergies. Although I honestly might be getting sick. I'm not gonna lie. Like, my throat's feeling kind of scratchy as well. A little swollen. A little uncomfortable. Like, it feels like when I make certain noises with my mouth, like I'm gonna start coughing involuntarily from the scratchiness in my throat. So I might be starting to get sick. I hate to tell you, but hopefully I'm able to get through this stream without too many annoying little symptoms. Let's hope. Anyway, folks, this segment, a little bit of a short one, but I hope you were able to appreciate it. I felt we needed to talk about this because when I saw they were thinking about sending the guy to Uganda, even if he was a criminal, guilty of everything they're accusing him of, that's insane. This deportation policy is unbelievable. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help the channel immensely. On top of that, you can leave a sub if you want to, but keep in mind, likes and comments being totally free are the best way to support my channel. In fact, only like 20% of you guys like my videos. If you up that to 30, channel's gonna blow up big time, let me tell you. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on this video. I'm curious if we can pull it off. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And if you want to see more from me in the future on other platforms, follow my social medias linked down below in the description, particularly my fan Discord, as that is the main hub of my community and fan base. And on top of that, that's where I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, movie nights every week on Fridays. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, gifting a sub, or supporting me directly, or on my website to support me directly, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below if you want to support me through other means. It means a ton. Thank you guys so much, and as always, have a good one.